Once you sit down and actually start the application and then figure out what you're going to do, I feel like it's very straightforward and easy. I think what happens with a lot of farmers is, this happens to us every year, in your mind, you're thinking all year of what you might want to do, and then somehow you wait till the very last week. And that's when you're all rushing around trying to, get all your, you have to have quotes and you have to have all these things in line to be able to apply. So oftentimes what people do, you'll wait to the end. And so that's really the only problem. And I think every year we think we want to, I'm thinking already for next year, if we'd start this a little bit earlier, it would just be less stressful on everybody in applying. So I think that's, other than that, it's very, like I said, it's a straightforward application. And I think, just basic. This one we felt a little bit more nervous about because it was the producer diversification. I know they're supposed to be more competitive, and it is more like it's kind of filling out a grant. The other ones are super easy, like when you get the corral panels, or if you're applying for just the basic farm categories, beef cattle. Dad actually generally is the one that will fill out the application because it's a lot of just check boxes. But this one you had to write out answers, and you had to prove, you had to say, how is this going to help? How is this going to increase your bottom line? How are you going to be marketing? They ask a lot of questions with the producer diversification, and the reason is because it has there's a higher pool of money to be funded back. You can do bigger projects and get more money back. Where with some of the beef cattle things, your cutoff is, $2,000. When you get a new bull, no matter how much you spend on your bull, you get 2,000, or I might not be quite right with 2,000. It's something like that. And then some of the other things too. Like the barn structures or buying other equipment items that are, qualifiable. It's just not as much of a return. So it's neat when you can do the producer diversification because, it's really helped us do all the things we wrote about in our grant. Or wasn't a grant, the application. Gosh, next year for the TAEP, my brain, we might not, I don't know if we've gone there yet. I feel like this has been such a full year that I really have not, I don't even think it's in the back of my head yet where we will head on what we will possibly try to apply for. We will apply. Let's say we choose not to do a producer diversification one. I think there are always things, especially with cattle farming, like I said, the ones that are, that you still have to fill out an application for, but there's things that, every year we almost have done them very regularly. There could have been years in the past before I was here, he might have skipped, but I think he's been pretty regular with them as well. But there's always something, just getting simple corral panels, for example, just increasing and being able to, we do field corrals all the time with our rounding up of animals when we harvest them. So just having corral panels or improving when we tag animals through the barn. So just simple things. You can actually every year, let's say you had this end goal of having this super useful and helpful animal working system. You could get a piece every year. And then by the end, by 5 years, you'd have a better improved system. So I think it really is worth it if you have if you file Schedule F and have, a farm to look into that and see what could work for you in applying, because, it helps your system. It's all it does. So
the grant application process for the TAEP it's the same every year. So that's the beautiful part of, if you put in the time the first year, you can pretty much use a lot of that information year after year. Whereas other grants, it's different. And so if you put in the work the first year and you read through everything thoroughly, you can ask for assistance. Yeah, it's an easier grant for us because that basic information is already there. And if you have this weird equipment that you're asking for, which we kind of are for grain, people may not be used to it. You just explain it.
And what the things that the TAEP grant is asking for is, what is your annual budget, or what is your annual revenue, and how does this piece of equipment building or what have you increase your farm income? And or are you able to hire more people because of now bringing on this endeavor, and this piece of equipment now can bring in more people, you know? And so it's a very basic outline. We had the local extension office run over it when we first did it a couple of years ago. It's become a little bit more streamlined, more word outline, you know, bullet point. And so that's what Lindsey means when we plug and play. We're now like already have a general sense of what our net income increase would be if we take on this new crop or this piece of equipment, how it will decrease our overall cost, which then would increase our profit. Like you could ask for a walk-in cooler. How would that benefit you? The common sense things on that would be, well, you're now able to store your veggies for a week. You're not having to sell direct instantly that day when you harvest it, so you can extend your shelf life. The quality of food is increased. So a cool bot is around $12,000 to $15,000 for the unit and the box. And so that's somewhat of a brief framework of how a walk-in cooler would extend the life of your produce, decrease costs, increase quality, and most likely you'd now be able to sell to restaurants, whereas before they're going to be like, why is your kale wilting by the time you get it to me? And so with documenting and reporting, typically, ideally, we already have an idea of what we want. We've already gotten, before our application, we have gotten quotes. So you get a quote from coolbot.com, or you go to Summertown Metal, a quick little plug for Summertown Metal, or Troyer's Builders, and you see how much a building would cost. Also include shipping into your cost when you do that. Sometimes we don't do that. That'll always vary, but include shipping of your product to you or your infrastructure. You'll keep that receipt. You'll take a picture of the project being completed or the equipment on farm. You can deny or cancel your request by the 1st of July, and that needs to be done in writing, sent to Nashville. And then all applications, all reimbursement is due August 1st. They encourage you, if you have it done in January, send it in. You can get reimbursed sooner. And you can start, even before you actually are approved, you can start your purchases October 1st, I believe. It could be November 1st. So even though you might not have been approved, again, it's kind of one of those things where they're assuming that you're already going to be doing this kind of project. And so here's a little bit of assistance and cost share help with that. But you could start October 1st, keeping your receipts. And reimbursement varies. Sometimes if it's gotten really popular, the program, it'll take sometimes 2 to 3 months to be reimbursed. Last year, we didn't know that they actually missed our application. So we had to send it in. We had it in on time, physically there. Very important. But they had extended our window because of Helene. They said, all of East Tennessee, actually, don't worry about sending your application. We're so used to doing it. We didn't believe them, but they actually meant not to send it in. But we still sent our application in by October 1st. They had given East Tennessee until December 15th last year because we're all cleaning up or helping friends out. But we sent it in, and then they forgot about us. And we're like, around 1st of January, we're like, why have we not been notified of denial or approval? They're like, well, actually, we're doing a second round of funding, and we'll look at your grant request at that time. So,
But pretty much October you're applying.
Yeah, sorry.
December, January, you're getting approved or not.
Yeah.
And you can be approved for, if you apply for 10 items, for 5 items, and one of them doesn't fit in their parameters, then you can be approved for 4 and denied 1. So it's not an all or nothing. So they'll tell you, we really like these 3, you can go for it. So that's in the winter. And then if you have enough money by then, go for it, buy it. For us, we may get a little bit more money that following summer. So we need to use that up and trying to purchase everything by June so that that comes in and we're already using it on the farm before that August 1st deadline. And this year we didn't deny anything.
We were denied for some vacuums and some other things. We didn't cancel any requests.
So let's say we applied for something in October and then months later we realize we don't need that item. So we say we don't need that equipment.
And it just frees up more money for the tape.
For that. So it just frees up more money for them. It's just a nice annual grant that you can count on and prepare yourself for ahead of time and count on that money. 50%. So let's say we wanted a piece of equipment for $1,000, then we would have to purchase that for the full $1,000, and then when we're reimbursed, we'd be given back $500. So it's it's worth it for a lot of things.